The alarm on my desk screamed before I even reached my chair, and every light in the embassy hallway turned red at once. I froze with my coffee cup halfway to my mouth. Around me, staff scattered toward the emergency exits, but one figure did not move. She stood at the far end of the corridor, tall, dark-skinned like polished stone, eyes glowing faintly like dying embers. Severeth Theron. She was looking straight at me, and for the first time since I had met her, she looked afraid. "Ethan," she said, her voice carrying over the alarm without her raising it at all. "Do not move. There is a hunter in this building, and it is not here for the ambassador. It is here for you." I want to explain how I got to this moment, because none of it makes sense unless you understand how it started. My name is Ethan Carter. I work as a junior logistics officer for the human embassy on Threll Station, a massive trade hub built at the crossing point of 5 different star systems. My job is boring by design. I track shipping containers, file customs forms, and make sure nobody accidentally imports something that explodes. I am not important. I am not special. I am, by every measure that matters in interstellar politics, invisible. That changed 8 months ago, in the embassy cafeteria, over a cup of coffee and one sentence I never should have said. I had been awake for 19 hours straight, finishing a shipment report that 3 different species had somehow all filed under the wrong customs code. I sat down across from a woman I did not recognize, a trade attaché from a species called the Vareth, who I later learned almost never spoke to humans directly. She smiled at something the ambassador said across the room, and I noticed her teeth. They were sharp, symmetrical, and strangely beautiful, like carved obsidian. I was tired. I was not thinking. I said the first true thing that came into my head. "You have really nice teeth." The room went silent. Not quiet, silent. The kind of silence where you can hear your own heartbeat. Every Vareth delegate in the cafeteria put down their utensils at the exact same moment, with the same slow, careful movement, as if something dangerous had just entered the room. The woman in front of me went very still. Then she stood, and the distance between us closed faster than I could track. She was suddenly beside me, close enough that the air felt colder. "You saw them," she said. "You saw them and you spoke of them." "They're nice teeth," I said, because apparently my brain had stopped working. Sharp, but tastefully sharp. That was the moment my life changed, though I did not know it yet. Her name was Severeth Theron, and she was not a trade attaché. That title was a cover, a polite fiction the Vareth used when dealing with species they did not fully trust. Her real title was Third Blade of the Ashvane Concord, a rank that meant she was one of the most dangerous individuals in her entire star system. The Vareth do not show their fangs to strangers. Among their people, showing an unhidden fang and having it noticed, and then complimented aloud, is an ancient courting ritual, thousands of years old. It is not something done by accident. It is a declaration. I had, entirely by accident, declared myself to a 400-year-old alien warrior. I tried to explain the misunderstanding. I told her, more than once, that on Earth complimenting someone's teeth means nothing more than being polite. She listened patiently every time, then told me that intent does not undo a seeing, and that some deeper instinct in me must have recognized the ritual even if my mind did not understand it. I did not fully believe her, but arguing with a Vareth blade about ancient customs while she stood one step away from me, radiating quiet intensity, did not feel like a fight I could win. Over the following months, she became a fixture in my life. She requested a transfer to my department under the title of Cultural Liaison, a position that did not officially exist until she created it through sheer force of will. She sat beside me during meetings. She memorized the exact way I liked my coffee, and had it ready before my badge even finished scanning at the door. When a shipping magnate from another species raised his voice at me during a contract dispute, she said something to him in a low, calm tone that I never heard the words of, but I watched the color drain from his face. He did not raise his voice again, not to me, not to anyone, for the rest of the meeting. I told myself I was simply adjusting to an unusual situation. I told myself I was not, in any way, growing used to having her nearby. Both of those things were lies, but I was good at telling myself lies back then. None of that, however, prepared me for the alarm. Severeth crossed the corridor toward me in 3 long strides, positioning herself between me and the open hallway beyond. Her voice dropped lower, the register she used only when something serious was happening. "There is a Vareth assassin loose in this station," she said, "a member of a rival house. They believe that if they remove you, my claim on you becomes void, and the alliance my house has built through our bond collapses with it." "Wait," I said. "Alliance? Bond? Nobody explained an alliance to me. There is very little time to explain, she said. The Vareth house has opposed my family for 3 generations. When word spread that a blade of my rank had been seen by a human, it embarrassed them deeply. They cannot attack me directly without starting open conflict between our houses, which the Concord forbids. But you are not protected by that law. You are, to them, an acceptable target. The lights flickered, and somewhere down the hallway, I heard metal groan, like something heavy had been thrown against a wall. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my ears. What do we do? I asked. We move, she said. Now. She took my arm, not roughly, but with a grip that told me arguing was not an option, and pulled me toward a side corridor I had never noticed before, hidden behind a maintenance panel that she opened with a press of her palm against a scanner I did not know existed. The panel slid aside, revealing a narrow service tunnel lit by dim strips of blue light. You have secret tunnels memorized in a building you don't even officially work in, I said, my voice shaking more than I wanted it to. I memorized every escape route in this station the day I arrived, she said. I did this before I knew you. I do it in every building I enter. It is not unusual for my kind. We moved quickly through the tunnel, her senses clearly far sharper than mine, since she kept adjusting our pace and direction before I could hear or see anything unusual. Twice she pulled me flat against the wall seconds before a distant sound echoed through the passage, a soft metallic click that I now know was the sound of a tracking device searching for a heat signature. How is it finding us? I whispered. It hunts by sound and by scent, she said. Vareth assassins are trained from birth to track prey through enclosed spaces. This is their specialty. It is why they were chosen for this task. That's comforting, I muttered. I did not say it to comfort you, she said. I said it because you need to understand what we are facing so you do not make a mistake that gets you killed. We reached a junction where the tunnel split in 2 directions. Severeth paused, tilting her head slightly, listening to something I could not hear at all. For a long moment she said nothing, and the silence stretched painfully thin. Left leads to the docking bay, she said finally. Right leads to the security office. The hunter is between us and the docking bay. So we go right, I said. No, she said. If we reach the docking bay, I can get you off this station entirely, onto a transport heading toward human space, where Vareth law has no reach. If we go to security, we are trapped here, and the hunter will eventually find a way around every guard this station has. I have seen it done before. You want to walk toward the thing that's hunting us. I want to walk past it, she said, before it expects us to. I stared at her, my chest tight with fear, and something else, something that felt strangely like trust. I had watched her handle difficult people in meetings for months. I had never seen her handle something that could genuinely kill her. Okay, I said. Left. She nodded once and we moved. The tunnel narrowed as we went, forcing us to walk single file, her ahead of me, one hand extended slightly behind her, a silent signal to stay close. The blue lights grew dimmer the further we walked, until we were moving almost entirely by touch and memory. My breathing sounded impossibly loud in my own ears, and I forced myself to slow it down, afraid the sound alone might give us away. Then I heard it. A soft scrape, metal against metal, somewhere ahead of us in the darkness. Severeth stopped instantly, and I nearly walked into her back. She turned her head slightly, her glowing eyes the only light I could see clearly in the gloom, and pressed one finger to her lips. The scrape came again, closer this time. She moved without warning, pulling me sideways into a narrow gap between 2 pipes running along the tunnel wall, pressing herself in front of me so that her body blocked most of mine from view. I could feel the tension radiating off her, coiled and ready, like a spring pulled tight. A shape passed the end of the tunnel ahead of us, moving low and fast, barely visible in the dim light. It paused, turning its head slowly from side to side, and I swear for one terrible second it looked directly toward our hiding spot. My heart stopped. I did not breathe. I did not move. Silvereth did not move either, but I felt her shift her weight just slightly, positioning herself to spring forward if the shape came any closer. Then, after what felt like an eternity, the shape turned and moved off down a different branch of the tunnel, its footsteps fading into silence. Severeth let out a slow breath, and only then did I realize she had been holding it too. That was close, I whispered. It will double back, she said quietly. It knows this section leads toward the docking bay. We do not have long. We moved again, faster now, her pace pushing me to nearly a jog. My legs burned, my lungs ached, but I did not slow down. I could not afford to. We reached a ladder leading upward, and Severeth climbed first, checking the hatch above us before waving me up. We emerged into a maintenance corridor near the docking bay, bright fluorescent light momentarily blinding after the darkness of the tunnels. I blinked hard, my eyes adjusting slowly. "This way," she said, pulling me toward a set of large doors marked with docking symbols in 3 different languages. We were almost there when the shape appeared again, dropping down from an overhead vent directly in front of us, blocking the path to the doors. Up close, in the bright light, I could finally see it clearly. It stood taller than Severeth, its skin a deep gray, its eyes narrow and calculating, fixed entirely on me. "Step aside," Sevorth said, her voice suddenly harder than I had ever heard it. "This is not your right to claim." The hunter said something in a language I did not understand, sharp and clipped, and took a slow step forward. Severeth moved between us completely now, her entire posture shifting into something coiled and dangerous, every trace of the calm cultural liaison I knew gone entirely. "Ethan," she said, without looking back at me. "When I move, run for the doors. Do not stop. Do not look back. There is a transport waiting on the 3rd platform. Tell them Caltheron sent you. They will let you board." "I'm not leaving you here," I said. "You do not have a choice in this," she said. "This is what I was trained for. Running is what you were trained for, trust me." The hunter lunged. What happened next moved too fast for me to fully follow. Severeth met the attack head-on, her movements precise and controlled, redirecting the hunter's momentum rather than meeting it directly. They exchanged a series of movements so fast they blurred together, the sound of impact echoing sharply through the corridor. I stood frozen for one crucial second, watching her fight for me, before her voice cut through my shock. "Run!" I ran. I did not look back, though every instinct screamed at me to. I sprinted for the docking bay doors, my legs carrying me faster than I thought possible, my heart hammering against my ribs. Behind me, I heard the sounds of the fight continuing, sharp and violent, and I forced myself to focus only on the doors ahead. I burst through onto the platform, and a small group of Vareth crew members turned toward me immediately, weapons half raised until one of them recognized something in my face, or my scent, that made her lower her weapon instantly. "You are the human," she said. It was not a question. "Severeth sent me," I gasped, barely able to speak from exhaustion. "She's still back there. She's fighting." The crew member's expression shifted instantly, sharp and focused. She barked orders to the others in rapid Vareth, and 2 of them sprinted past me back toward the corridor I had just come from, weapons drawn. I turned to follow, desperate to help somehow, but the first crew member caught my arm, her grip firm. "You will only slow them down," she said. "Trust the blade. She has survived worse than this." I did not want to trust anything in that moment, except my own 2 legs carrying me back to help her, but I forced myself to stay, my whole body shaking with adrenaline that had nowhere to go. The wait felt endless, every second stretched into an agony of uncertainty. I paced the platform, straining to hear any sound from the corridor, my mind racing through every terrible possibility. Then, finally, I saw her. Severeth walked out of the corridor under her own power, flanked by the 2 crew members who had gone to help her. She was breathing hard, a shallow cut along one arm, but she was standing, and she was alive. The moment her eyes found mine across the platform, something in her posture eased, just slightly. I crossed the distance between us before I even realized I was moving, stopping just short of actually touching her, unsure suddenly what was allowed between us. "You're hurt," I said. "It is minor," she said. "The hunter has been subdued. Station security has him now. He will answer to the Concord for this." "You could have died," I said, my voice cracking slightly. "For me." She looked at me for a long moment, her expression unreadable in a way I had not seen from her before. "I told you months ago," she said quietly, "that something in you already understood the ritual, even if your mind did not. I did not fully believe it myself, until today. You did not run to save yourself. You ran because I told you to, trusting that I could handle what came after. That is not nothing, Ethan." "I was terrified," I admitted. "So was I," she said, and the honesty in her voice surprised me more than anything else that had happened all day. We stood there on the platform, the adrenaline slowly draining out of both of us, replaced by something quieter and harder to name. Around us, station security began arriving to secure the area, and the ordinary noise of the docking bay slowly returned, as if the world was remembering how to function normally again. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now," she said, "the Vareth House answers for sending an assassin onto neutral station ground, which is a violation the Concord will not ignore. And you and I return to our very boring jobs, filing shipment reports and pretending nothing happened, until the next crisis inevitably finds us. You say that like it's inevitable, I said. With you, she said. And for the first time that day, something like a smile crossed her face. It generally is. I laughed. A shaky, exhausted sound, more relief than humor, but real all the same. She reached out and, gently, brushed a strand of hair back from my face, a small gesture that felt enormous given everything that had just happened. Come, she said, let us get that arm looked at, and then I believe you owe me a coffee. You did, after all, make me run through a maintenance tunnel on an empty stomach. You saved my life and you want coffee as payment, I said. I want many things, she said, walking beside me toward the medical bay, close enough that our shoulders brushed with every step. Coffee is simply the easiest one to ask for today. I did not know, walking beside her through that station, exactly what the future held for either of us. I did not know how many more Vareth hunters might come, or how many more secret tunnels I would end up sprinting through in the dark. But I knew, with a certainty that surprised me, that I was no longer afraid of the strange bond that one accidental compliment had created 8 months earlier. Whatever it meant, wherever it led, I was no longer facing it alone, and after everything I had just survived, that felt like more than enough.